Agamemnon has returned from Troy in triumph. Beside his chariot stands Cassandra, a captive princess from the city he destroyed. Ahead of them are the doors of his palace in Argos. Cassandra looks at that house and knows two things no one around her wants to know. Agamemnon will be murdered inside, and she will die there too. She warns them. They hesitate. Then Cassandra walks toward the door anyway. The princess who saw too much. Long before Cassandra stood outside that fatal house, she was a princess of Troy, daughter of King Priam and Queen Hecuba. She grew up inside one of the richest cities of the heroic age, behind massive walls overlooking the plain where Greek and Trojan armies would eventually fight for 10 years. Royal birth should have given Cassandra status, protection, and a voice people were trained to respect. Instead, Greek tradition remembers her for something far more dangerous. She could see what other people could not. In Aeschylus' Agamemnon, Cassandra calls herself a prophet of Apollo. Ancient writers preserve different details about how the gift began, but Aeschylus gives the most important part of the tragedy. Apollo desired Cassandra. She accepted his gift of prophecy, then did not fulfill the promise he believed she had made to him. Apollo could not take the divine knowledge back, so the punishment became more cruel. Cassandra would continue to speak true prophecies, but she would no longer be able to persuade the people who heard them. Think about what that means inside a Bronze Age royal court. Cassandra does not merely have frightening dreams. She sees patterns hidden from everyone else. She recognizes danger before danger has become visible. She speaks while there is still time to act. And then she watches faces close around her. Her father is still king. Her mother is still queen. Guards still stand on the walls. Priests still tend the fires. Merchants still enter Troy's gates. The city still looks powerful. Only Cassandra sees how fragile all of it can become. Her gift therefore creates the opposite of authority. The more clearly she knows, the more isolated she becomes. She has access to truth, but not to the one thing truth needs in order to change events: belief. The God who left her with the truth. Apollo's punishment is what makes Cassandra different from an ordinary seer. He does not make her blind. He does not fill her visions with lies. He leaves the truth intact. That is the cruelty. A false prophet can eventually discover that the fear was mistaken. Cassandra cannot. Every terrible vision carries the knowledge that the disaster is real, while every attempt to stop it teaches the people around her to distrust the next warning. In Aeschylus, Cassandra says that after her conflict with Apollo, she could persuade no one. The curse is not silence. It is speech without power. Imagine Cassandra inside a sanctuary, the symbols of Apollo around her: bronze, laurel, oil flame, the ordered rituals of a god associated with prophecy. The sacred setting says that knowledge matters. Her life says that knowledge alone may change nothing. This is why the myth does not need Cassandra to predict every famous event later storytellers attach to her name. The central horror is already complete. She is a true prophet living among people who have learned that her truth can be ignored. Every time she speaks and nothing happens immediately, disbelief becomes easier. Every time the city survives another day, the walls seem to prove her wrong. The absence of disaster becomes evidence against the person who sees disaster coming, until the day the disaster finally arrives. The city that fell around her. Troy spends 10 years under siege. From its towers, the Trojans can see Greek fires on the plain, warships along the coast, wounded men returning through the gates, and funeral smoke rising above both armies. This is not a city that has never heard the language of danger. It lives beside danger every day. Yet Aeschylus has Cassandra remember that she had already prophesied suffering to her own people. Troy still falls. That detail is more important than assigning one single famous warning to her. Cassandra's entire city becomes the proof that being warned is not the same as being saved. The walls that looked permanent are breached. Palaces burn. The royal family is shattered. Priam's house, once filled with sons, daughters, servants, envoys, and warriors, becomes the center of a defeated world. For Cassandra, there is no satisfaction in being proven right. The destruction she feared is the destruction of her own home. She loses the city that refused to believe her, but she also loses the people she had been trying to protect. That distinction matters. Cassandra is not standing outside Troy saying, "I told you so." She is inside the catastrophe with everyone else. After the Greek victory, she is taken captive. The princess who once walked through her father's palace is now part of the spoils of war. Agamemnon, commander of the Greek expedition, brings her across the Aegean with him. Behind them, Troy is ash and broken stone. Ahead of Cassandra is another royal house. And another disaster. If you enjoy seeing Greek mythology told as a living story rather than a list of names and lessons, please like, share, and leave a comment. Your support helps gods and heroes Unveiled keep bringing these ancient worlds, tragedies, gods, and heroes back to life. The house that remembered blood. Agamemnon returns to Argos as a victorious king. From the outside, the scene should belong to him. 10 years of war are over. Troy has fallen, and the commander has finally reached his own palace. His wife Clytemnestra comes out to receive him. But the house of Atreus is not a peaceful home waiting for a veteran. Its history is filled with betrayal, murder, revenge, and children made to pay for the crimes of their parents. Clytemnestra has her own reason to hate Agamemnon. Before the Greek fleet sailed for Troy, their daughter Iphigenia had died because of the expedition. In the tradition dramatized by Aeschylus, Clytemnestra has not forgotten. Agamemnon enters the palace believing he is coming home as a conqueror. Cassandra remains outside. This is where Aeschylus turns prophecy into something almost physical. Cassandra looks at the royal house and reacts as though the stones themselves remember what happened there. She senses old violence inside the family. Images of slaughter from the past crowd into her speech. The chorus of Argive elders struggles to follow her, because Cassandra is seeing generations of blood at once while they are standing in an ordinary courtyard. Then the visions move closer. The danger is no longer ancient history. It is inside the house now. Cassandra realizes that Agamemnon has walked into a trap. Clytemnestra will kill the king who has just returned from Troy. And Cassandra understands that she has been brought to the same house to die. She describes the murder before it happens. At first, Cassandra's words come in broken images. To the chorus, they are difficult to understand. She cries out to Apollo. She speaks of blood, a house stained by old crimes, and violence waiting behind the doors. The elders do not simply laugh at her. That is what makes the scene more painful. They listen. They question her. Pieces begin to make sense. Cassandra becomes more direct. Agamemnon will be killed. She will be killed with him. Now the warning is no longer an obscure prophecy about some distant future. The king has entered the building. The murderer is inside. Cassandra is standing only a few steps from the door. The chorus is close enough to danger to feel it, but not close enough to certainty to stop it. They hope the prophecy is wrong. Hope is all they do. That is one of the most brutal ideas in the play. A warning can become understandable and still fail to produce action. People do not always need perfect disbelief in order to remain still. Sometimes uncertainty is enough. To act, the elders would have to accuse a queen, rush into a royal palace, and accept that the triumphant return of their king has become a murder scene within minutes. The safer choice is to wait for more proof. But Cassandra's entire life has been built around the moment when proof finally arrives too late. Why the warning still feels familiar. You may never have stood outside a Mycenaean palace with knowledge sent by Apollo, but the shape of Cassandra's helplessness is still recognizable. Someone notices a relationship becoming dangerous before the person inside it is ready to admit it. Someone sees a business plan failing while everyone else is celebrating. Someone in a family names a pattern that everyone has learned to live around. The modern version is rarely prophecy. It is evidence, experience, pattern recognition, or simply being the first person willing to say that something is wrong. And the emotional wound is not merely being contradicted. It is watching time disappear while the warning is discussed, softened, postponed, or turned back against the person who gave it. Cassandra's myth does not tell us that every warning is true. It tells us something narrower and more unsettling. Sometimes the cost of refusing an uncomfortable possibility cannot be measured until the possibility becomes reality. For Cassandra, that moment is already waiting behind the palace doors. The doors she entered knowing the end. Cassandra now does something that makes her final scene unforgettable. She knows she is going to die, yet she does not run. In Aeschylus, she tears away the prophetic symbols associated with Apollo. The god who gave her sight has also made that sight a source of suffering. Cassandra casts those signs aside as she prepares to enter the house. For a moment, prophecy is no longer the most important thing about her. Choices. She cannot save Troy. She cannot save Agamemnon. She cannot persuade the chorus to become certain before certainty is possible. And she cannot erase the future she has already seen. But she can decide how she meets it. Cassandra speaks with a strange calm after the frenzy of her visions. She knows the house is a place of death. She knows Clytemnestra waits inside. She knows her own blood will join the blood already attached to this family. Then she crosses the threshold. No divine rescue arrives. No last-minute believer pulls her back. The doors take her from view. Soon the palace itself provides the proof everyone lacked. Agamemnon's cries are heard from within. The chorus panics and debates what to do. Once again, they are discussing action while the action that mattered is already happening. When the doors finally open, the truth is no longer prophecy. It is a crime scene. Agamemnon is dead. Cassandra is dead. Clytemnestra stands over the result of the vengeance she has chosen. Cassandra has finally become impossible to disbelieve, and belief is now useless. The truth that arrived too late. That is why Cassandra survives in memory as more than a woman who could predict the future. Her tragedy is the distance between knowing and changing. Troy proves it on the scale of a city. Agamemnon's palace proves it in the space of a few terrible minutes. Cassandra can see the road ahead, describe it, and beg others to look. Yet truth does not become power simply because it is true. The myth also refuses to give Cassandra the comfort of vindication. She is right, but Troy still burns. She is right, but Agamemnon still dies. She is right, but she walks into the same death she has just described. There is no victory in saying I knew it when the thing you knew was something you desperately wanted to prevent. And perhaps that is why her story still hurts. Most of us will never receive prophecy from a god. We live with incomplete evidence, uncertain motives, conflicting memories, and warnings that may be right or wrong. We cannot treat every fear as Cassandra's vision, but we can remember what the tragedy shows about certainty arriving late. By the time danger becomes obvious to everyone, the most valuable moment may already have passed. Cassandra stands forever at that earlier moment, when the door is still closed, when action is still technically possible, and when the truth is hardest to accept because the ending has not happened yet. That is the moment her myth asks us to take seriously. If Cassandra's story stayed with you, please like, share, and leave a comment. And tell us which god, hero, monster, war, tragedy, curse, or mystery from the ancient Greek world you want gods and heroes unveiled to enter next. There are still countless doors left to open. Cassandra saw the disaster before everyone else did. What truth did you once try to tell someone who refused to hear it?